and welcome to Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. Hi, this is Tony Renfro, your host on Knowledge is Power Podcast. Tonight, we've got few guests tonight. Let's see if we can make everybody come on in there. But tonight, our topic is raised by the streets, how violence is stealing our children. I mean, this is crazy. So we're going to get started here. I'm going to add my guests here to the show. Oh, wrong one. Let's go. There we go. Hey, Mary Williams, and I've got LaShawn Proctor from Proctor Mortuary here in Beaumont, Texas. We're here, and I've got a couple of more guests. Where are my other guests here? Put them on here. Let's see here. Let's go here. There we go. All right. Hey, guys, how's everything going? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
It's good.
Hello?
It's good. My
Hello?
day's going good. Hello?
Hello. Okay, great. The topic tonight is raised by the streets, how our violence is still in our kids in our community. And we are, let me just tell you let me move my screen here and put my screen here. That's what we're going to talk about. The pain, the pressure, the prison pipeline, strong opening. Hold on, guys. My thing is moving too fast with me. Okay. It's going too fast. Nope. That's not going to work. So let me go over here and try this. I can't find what I'm looking for. So let me go to my other screen here. All right. Tonight is not about blaming our youth. It's about understanding why so many of our young people are angry, lost, and violent, hopeless, and dying before they become adults. Beaumont is hurting. Families are hurting. Parents are hurting. Tonight, we talk about solutions. The main solution is one, the streets are parenting our children. The lack of positive role models, social media influencing violence, kids seeking acceptance from gangs and street culture, the absence of a father and stable homes, and music and internet culture is glorifying the crime. So my question tonight with my panel is, when did the streets become more influential than parents, schools, and churches? Mary, like to add to that?
Well, as a product of not being raised here and as a product of not being involved in the streets, but seeing it as an adult and seeing it as I've lived in Beaumont since 2011, I have noticed, even in 15 years, that Beaumont has changed dramatically. And I think 100% of it has to do with the cell phone, the internet, the social media. The times have changed. There's no such thing as respect anymore. Respect is out the door. And we have to find, like you said earlier, solutions.
Yeah, we have to find solutions. I mean, how can we find solutions? Because we have these meetings. Everybody talking about, let's have a meeting. Let's get the community together. Let's strive to get the community together and see can we solve what is the problem is. That's so it's got to be more than that. And let me start it out. And that's not in my script here, but I'm going to start off here. It all starts from home. Parenting at home. That's the failure. The parents are the failures. And I'm going to put the blame on those 30-year-old grandmothers, the 40-year-olds grandparents, and the 20-year-old parents that are raising these children, well, let's say this, half-ass raising these children. This is what's causing the problem. It starts all the way at home. Do you agree?
I agree 100%. And I know Sean Proctor can agree with that too. It starts at home. It starts at the kitchen table. It starts at the dining room, in the living room area. It starts at home. And I'm tired of excuses saying, oh, well, you don't know my situation. You don't know this. You don't know that. I do know that there's a lack of discipline somewhere, and it starts at home. You drop off your kids at school, and they are just total disruptive already. By the time they even walk through to the cafeteria to get their breakfast, they're already mad because they didn't get a donut or they didn't get their way this morning. You know, that's the problem.
Mr. Proctor, what do you think?
Well, I'll go in and say that I look at it as my generation, the 50-year-old generation. Why do I say that? It's because so many of us at the time said we wasn't going to raise our children like our parents raised us, where we was disciplined. It was the neighborhood was able to do that, and we started raising our children different. So now, as the generations go down, one thing that I say about me, and I'm only going to use me. When I was growing up, I feared my parents. I didn't really understand when you're young. Me, and I'm going to say me, not so nobody takes it out of context. I didn't really understand respect. I more so feared my parents. I was so afraid my dad was gonna come to the school and beat me, you know what I'm saying, or whoop me, or however you want to look at it, discipline me. My mother, the neighborhood, was able to do it. So I was afraid of that. So therefore, I did not want to have them to come in and have to do that. So I was afraid of the repercussions that was going to happen at home. I mean, and now, again, as I got older, I started to respect my parents. I no longer feared them. I respect them. Up until this day, I respect my parents. I don't fear them. So now it's about respect. So I don't do certain things because of the respect that I have for my parents. But I often say that is our generation that started that. We started raising our children different. And once we did that, then as the generations got along, it got a little bit more laxed. And again, I think that's why we are where we are today.
Do you think why are that so many of the young people in Beaumont growing up without hope or directions?
I don't think it's Beaumont. I think it's just across the board. I mean, it's not. This is not centered toward Beaumont. I think it's just the generation of the children. There are. I mean, I don't. I won't say they don't have no hope. I think it's the culture, the
Mm-hmm.
music, the music.
Mm-hmm.
Of what we have what our kids listen to. I mean, everybody that's even putting out some of the music aren't living that lifestyle. But again, it's the internet. People can live a different lifestyle on the internet that they're really living in person. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
everybody longs for that life. Growing up, everybody wanted the life. And I think now with the internet, it's just that you can see so much of it more, or what you tend to believe. And I just think that that's what the kids are seeing. And everybody is striving for that life. It's no different than, um, at the end of the day, I often say, even with our kids as parents, sometimes we live our lives vicariously through our kids. Even the ones that, just say, if you had a parent that wanted to be an athlete, I mean, we push our kids to be athletes so we can live that life through them. Or whether it's a doctor or it's a lawyer, whatever it is. I mean, sometimes we push our kids in those avenues, and I think some of the kids just don't have some of those people pushing them, and they're living it through the internet, and the internet is poison in their mind because now everybody's toting guns, everybody's packing guns, and I just think that that's what they see the most of.
Yeah, that's crazy. Growing up in my time, we didn't take a gun to a fight. We put them up like this.
Yeah,
And when I got my tail whipped, I got my ass off the ground and going on home. I might take my ball with me, but I'm going on home. But these
correct,
kids now are coming into the fight with a gun.
correct. and that and
So,
that is and that is the case. I mean,
mhm,
now it's more guns are more prevalent. And like
right,
you said, when we came up, we were fighting. You got beat up today, you fought again tomorrow. You know what I'm
that's
saying? You
right.
got bullied today. I mean, and that was the things. And now it's just different. I mean, and I think that whether I don't know where we start. Like you said, I think it is at home, but I mean, it's a matter of just we have to start as a community,
Hmm.
being more involved as a community, being more involved in being able to talk to kids, being able to talk to them, being able to talk to the parents. Because again, I just think that we just have to start somewhere different. And I mean, we all got plans. Everybody's talking about what they need to do. We just need to come together and see how we're going to make it work.
these are the things that irks me. You know, one of them is social media influencing violence, online beefing turning deadly, clock chasing. Now this is the worst one: recording fights and
Hmm.
crimes. You know, instead of stopping it, de-escalating it, they recording the fights and the crime and seeking validation from other followers. You know, they follow it. They want to see validation. My question is: has social media become one of the biggest weapons destroying our youth mentally and emotionally? What do you think, Mary?
Oh my goodness. That's a hard question to answer, Tony. I
Well,
think there's so much going on. I'm tired of meetings. These
I'm tired
meetings,
of meetings.
I went to the mentorship training last Saturday. I went to it. There were 9 people that showed up for that. And the week before when they had the mentorship training, they only had I think 11 people showed up. So that's a total of 20 people in our community of 115,000 people that showed up for mentorship training. That is deplorable. Not only that, but then you have the Mayor's Coalition Against Violence meeting this Tuesday at 5:30 at the Event Center. Now, the initial kickoff meeting, and Sean was there, it was standing room only. You couldn't move in that place. It was so tight at the Lakeside Center. And he kicked off this saying he had all these different people there to speak and everything. But what have we done since that first meeting? What we've now had a murder happen in a park, you
Right,
know?
right.
What is the solution? And please don't say, oh, well, we have, the IEA and all of this stuff. That's great. But what is the solution? We are still talking about different resources. I think that word resource is overused way too much. Um, and I don't see how we're getting a hold of this. This is just get like you said earlier. Everybody's taking a gun to the fight now. Everybody's taking a weapon, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Something, I
Right.
mean, it's almost like, it's the new cocaine on the streets right now, or guns, instead of drugs, like how it was in the early 90s when I was coming out of high school at that time in 90, that was the thing, cocaine, drugs, you had the DARE program in schools and everything, you know, we don't have that anymore. We just bringing weapons to the fight now. It's a shootout. Who's got the bigger weapon and who's going to go down first?
Mm-hmm. That's right. What do you think about that, LaShawn?
Well, I think one thing that engagement is going to be the key is getting people engaged. But I don't see where. Okay, just this is my thing. The meetings we have to gear. You have. I think Saturdays is always great because everybody is off. But there's so
Mm-hmm.
many other things go on Saturdays.
Right,
You just have to look at life.
right.
Life is life. I'm in the funeral business. Most time, if you got a meeting or you got a funeral, which one you going to?
You're going to your funeral.
And as this day in and we are most of this is a city that most of the people that's passing away, most of them are involved with family some type of way.
Right.
So having anything on Saturdays is going to be kind of hard, because people already have plans on
Mm-hmm.
Saturdays. So I think once when you're talking about attendance is always going to be low on a Saturday. Just because of, are you going to cancel your plans that you have because a meeting is coming up? Which is most important? I mean, those are just the thing. We have to look at life and reality. We can talk about all of the things. I don't think that it's not people don't want to participate. I think that if you have to prioritize, then that's where we tend to kind of miss the mark. We see a lot of things that people prioritize more than others, and it's just a matter of where are we going to put those priorities. One thing that I do say is that with the violence that's going on, we are already behind the 8 ball with having meetings. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I mean, all
Right.
of that stuff is in place, so it's already going on. So having the meetings, we're playing catch up. So getting the people involved and getting the right things in place, like the mayor meeting and all of those things, that's great. But we're already behind the 8 ball because most of that stuff has already been happening. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
at this point, it's kind of been reactive in a sense. So we're going to catch up, but it's just a matter of how long does it take to catch up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because as you talk about, even with things going on and kids and fighting, I remember we was in high school. We fought in high school. You know what I'm saying? That was always things. It's not anything that's different in that facet of it. I think it's just now the outcome is
Mm-hmm.
different. How they're showing up again, as Mary just said, how they're showing up at the fights. Those are the things that's different, and guns are so easily accessible now, where when we were growing up, I mean, honestly, I don't know how easily guns was accessible. If we found a gun somewhere, it was going to be in our house that our parents had. And I don't think at that point I didn't know how to get guns off the street, or to purchase a gun off the street. Now I think that guns are just so easily accessible for anybody. So that's just one of the things that we're facing with, and how do we handle that part of it?
I was looking at one of the comments on the comment board, and it said Kathy Wingate. She said, "If not on a Saturday, why not we try a Sunday evening for meetings?" And that's a good suggestion. But there's some that has a Sunday evening church meetings or whatever. But like all three of us said already, we didn't meet it out. We meet out. We have meeting and meeting after meetings about how we're going to handle this. We need solutions. How are we going to handle? How would we need solutions?
Well, I think the solutions will come out of the meetings. I mean, you have to have that in order to be able to have people from all different avenues. I think that even in these meetings that we're having, we have to engage the families that's been affected. I think so many times we're having meetings and the families that's been affected aren't invited to the meeting. You know what I'm saying? I
That's
mean, so
that
you
that.
have
There
to
we go.
you have to make sure that those people are involved. All of the things that's going on, all of the coalitions and all of those things, if you don't address and have the families that's affected to have their voice, to be able to understand where it's going on. I mean, I can't tell you, you know, how it is to be on drugs, and I ain't never been on drugs. I
Right.
can't tell you all of these things, and I've never been affected by it. You have to have the people that has been affected by this to come in and be a part. And I'm also, again, Sundays is always that's a rest day. Again, you have churches. The churches are more involved in these meetings now and having these things. So Sundays will probably be a much better day than a
Mm-hmm.
Saturday. That's just my opinion. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And
Saturday's
again,
not a
I'm
good
only I'm
day.
only one person. But
Yeah,
I
Saturday.
mean, if you're looking at that, you have to try something different.
Yeah, Saturday's not a good day. I mean, there's so much events, activities going on, and Saturday's just not the day. So let's kind of start pointing out to the directions of Sunday evenings and see if that will work. Terry, Roy, how are you, sir? Terry has joined us. Can you hear us? Hello, hello, Terry. Hello, 1, 2, 3, Terry.
I
I
know
guess he
mine was
does.
off at one point, so you probably
Yeah,
couldn't hear because at one point I couldn't hear.
yeah. I don't think he can hear us. Terry, can you hear us?
I'll send him a text.
Yeah, let's send him a text. All right. Let me move on to our next question. Are we punishing young people for pain we never asked, never helped them heal from? Let me repeat that. Are we punishing young people for pain we never helped them healed from? The prison pipeline, school suspension leading to street activities, juvenile systems. What can we do to? Where are we now? It's a shame young people are getting felony records too early. Lack of rehabilitation programs, and I think that's what we need to. That's what we need to land on.
Well, both those kids were in pathways. The ones at the park this past week, both of those children were in pathways. This was a premeditated fight, too, Tony. I want to put that out there. This was a premeditated fight. They had planned this. They had fixed to have that many kids involved in that fight. They wanted
Really?
to have the more in the crowd, the better. Look at me. I'm going to be in a fight, and it's going to be a shootout up in here. They
Hmm.
knew that they were going to bring guns to the fight. They knew that this was going to go down. This is a like premeditated. And I'm not going to say it's capital murder because I'm not a lawyer, but this was premeditated. Regardless if the outcome was murder or not, it was premeditated. These kids knew what was going to go on. I don't think the schools have failed these kids. No, I think the kids just don't care anymore. I mean, I worked in the school district. I know what I saw. I was, beat down by a fourth grader, you know. So these kids today just I don't know. I want them to have hope. But the new administration for TEA, I hope that they bring a new change to to schools. It looks like she has her agenda already planned out. It's going to be a military style curriculum now, which maybe is probably the best thing that could go right now. And I'm all for about discipline. I'm all about the military. I was in the military for 21 years. I know Sean was in the military. He was in the Navy and I was in the Army. So, discipline is key. And I'm glad that, somebody's finally putting some structure and a curriculum that might hopefully change things.
It's the first I've heard that.
Yeah.
That might work. I don't know. Terry, what do you think?
Oh, how y'all doing this evening?
Oh, good. We're good. We tried to get you in earlier, but I don't know what happened to you.
Well, not too long ago, got home from with my wife. So,
Well, I know it's Mother's Day. Oh, by the way, happy Mother's Day, everyone.
happy Mother's Day, Mary.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
Yeah,
Everybody.
it's just been dumbfounding to me as far as what's going on with these kids. I read up on a lot of this stuff about why kids act like kids do, because the kid's mind is developed fully at 5 years old. And what they learn at 5 years old is what carries them on through life. So it depends on their surroundings and what's around them, what they see. Because when your mind is developed, you absorb everything that's around you. And I think if we don't catch kids at 5 years old or even younger, we're going to end up where we are right now. And that's what I believe. In my opinion, that's what's happening now.
At what point, Terry, at what point do we stop making excuses and start demanding accountability from the parents, leaders, and the youth?
Well, you got to start with the parents because that's where it starts at.
That's
It doesn't
right.
start with teachers or people that's trying to make a change. It doesn't start with them. It starts at home.
Right. It
Because even
starts at
when my grandkids come over to my house, they know that they're going to enjoy themselves, but we're going to have structure at the same time. And we're going to talk about some of the things that's happening, with kids. My grandkids talking, they tell me the things that they see. And some of the stuff that they see, it surprises them. But it's all about how you raise your kids. And as a kid gets older, none of us can raise another person's kid. And we can't really mentor another person's kid. Some of them we may get through on, but it's a lot of them we won't reach because of the things that they developed in their mind. Like I say, even at 5 years old.
But you said something that I said earlier in the show that it all starts at home.
Yes,
It starts in parenting at home. We're not
that's where it
parenting our
started for
kids,
me.
church, right? When we grew up, everyone raised us. I got an ass whipping down the street. When I got home, close to home, I got another one. I got one when I got at home. So,
Yeah.
but that's not happening anymore. Like like LaShawn Proctor said, that parents today don't want to raise their kids the way they was raised. They want
Right.
to give them material things, and you cannot buy love. You can't buy discipline. You gotta have to put the hammer down on these children. And
Right.
I don't. And these kids are so smart. They know how to dial CPS in a heartbeat.
Oh,
So we got an issue. So when they get off the bus or drop your kids off to school, they turn to a whole new animal once they open that school door.
even our kids.
Yeah. I mean, and this is not in this city here. It's in every majority of cities: Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, any city, Chicago, Baltimore, Atlanta. It's all over. We've got to do a whole lot better than what we're doing with these children. I wish I had a law officer on the line because I want to make sure that I can was going to ask the law enforcement question, but I'm going to ask the panel. Let me see. I've got a couple of questions I want to ask the panel, and they can use the comment box and put your question in there. If questions like mental health professional, I don't have one of them on the program. So let me get to a community leader like LaShawn. Where are we failing to do as a city? 2, where should Beaumont invest more resources? 3, do young people feel disconnected from leadership and opportunity?
Well, I mean, that's a lot of different questions, a lot of different angles. When you say where are we falling short as a city, I can't say we're falling short as a city because again, in certain things, and this can be a double-edged sword. We can just say, you know what, put in some things within the city and said we're going to start um, checking everybody in a sense. Some of the things that went down, I'm very cautious of that because if the city in law enforcement start putting too much pressure, and in a sense, and I'm not saying that I don't want this taken out of context. There's a thin line for me. There's a thin line, or could be a thin line between profiling. You know,
Mhm.
so when you start doing those type of things, where's the line drawn in profiling? Because
Right.
again, your murders and all of that stuff is, in a sense, we seem to think, or it looks, not that it is, it looks like it's in a certain area. So when you do
I
that
think you're
and
breaking
you
up there.
attack,
You're breaking up. You break it up. Stacey Riley on the comment board saying that no one can chastise these kids. The parents want to fight, and that's true too. And they are falling short as parents. And parents. One of the parents' issues is that I see that they want to be the kid's friend. You cannot be a kid's friend and be a parent too. Mary, what do you think?
Okay, so I would like to hear all three of y'all ran for city council at one time, or mayor even. I would like to hear what y'all would do if you were in that position of city council or mayor right now. What would we what would you be doing, if you were in that position? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, not one person from city council or the mayor's office, the city manager, the legal team, not one person was at Pearlstein Park Thursday night when this went down. Not one person. But when Rogers Park happened, the whole city of Beaumont literally stopped, and everybody just, it was like they were just like in droves of people just came and was on Rogers Park. There was no place to park. All of Marshall School Middle School was parking lot was filled. The media was there. The media was here at Pearlstein Park. But I'm saying is, where was our city council leaders? You had everyone there at Rogers Park, and houses they said got shot up or had bullets flying, and kids were playing in this park Thursday night. There are houses directly. My house is literally like right over that canal bridge right there. That by Pearlstein Park, if you know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
So there are houses in that area. My house could have got shot up for all I know, when those bullets started flying.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like gravity. What goes up must come down. So, you shoot something, it's gonna go somewhere. And I would like to know, since y'all were running for city council at one time, what you would do right now. What would be your plan of action?
The city, they're really kind of limited in what they can actually do. I mean, the most they probably could have done is reached out to the parents and, kind of doing what they're doing now, like the things that the mayor is doing now. And, and hope that parents decide that they want to get involved with it. But like I say, it's hard for anybody else to come in and try to control somebody else's child. Not that you wouldn't want to, but it's kind of a difficult thing to do. And a lot of kids, they don't want to listen to nothing anybody have to say, and let alone their parents. But we could try, like I say, doing things like the mayor is doing. And that's still up in the area if that's going to work. So it's hard to say what you can do. You may want to do a lot of things, but you're limited in some of the things you can do.
Well, I really never thought about it. I mean, it never really come to me. I really never thought about it. Shortly over the last few days, was thinking, and I was sitting at my desk in my studio, and I was saying, and I think Terry and I have already mentioned this, and I said this at the beginning of the show, is that it ain't really the people that need to be accountable for it is the parents. I mean, the parents
Look at
are
the school
not
board
raising.
meetings.
But they go to that.
They don't that it'd be so many empty seats, and
It's
you know,
it's it's
and
it's so it's so important that to be at school board meeting to find out
yeah,
what is going on in the school, how your children are producing, or what's going on with your children, what's going on in the schools, what can you do to help your children in their environment, and but they can
some of
line up but they can line up at the beauty saloon supply house at 4 o'clock in the morning to buy bundles and extensions and weaves, but they cannot go to the school board meetings or parents teachers meetings or PTA meetings to see what's going on with their own child.
the thing is,
That's
people got to realize that the city and the school are really taxpayers' investments.
that's
And if you
correct.
don't go in and take care of your investment, then you're investing your money into nothing. That's
That's
why
correct.
people got to start fighting for that. That's an investment for you
That's correct.
with your
Uh,
tax money.
I was reading here. Let's say on the comments, Flawed Hope says a lot of kids need a strong father figure. It's a lot of fathers, less men running around here with no disciplines or directions. And I think that was one of my questions that I had already that I got a new teleprompter, but I can't read that fast. It's moving too fast for me. But I was just saying, and that was on there for me to mention is because a lot of families do not have a father figure. The grandparents are raising the kids, but we talk about grandparents. This at this current time are in the late 30s and the early 40s. So that generation didn't help, and the generation before that is not helping. Those who was raised, those that are 50 plus years old right now and older, we was raised in a whole different generation. What's going on now is a lost generation, and it takes a lot to parent a kid. You got to invest in them. You got to take time with them. You got to spend time with them. You can't buy love. You can't buy their attention because they're gonna do what they want to do regardless. See, LaShawn Proctor's having a difficult time coming back on, so we're gonna move on with that. Yeah, here we go. Can mentorship really change a young person's life? What do you think, Mary?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I think so. But mentorship mentorship has to be from somebody that child feels comfortable being around. A lot of
Hmm.
these kids today, like when I had went to IEA and also to the mini Rogers and spoke to those kids, they were just like "Psh," like "Psh," like that type of attitude, like that. Man, this woman don't know what she talking about, or this Caucasian woman doesn't know nothing. She ain't from them streets.
Hmm.
No, I'm not from the streets. But I have lived in the streets before. I have lived, a life, that was in the streets of
Hmm.
Atlanta. I've lived in the life, on military bases. So it's not the same, but it is, I have seen the streets. I'll put it like that.
Hmm.
Um, so mentorship, though, it's good. It can work. However, the mentor has to be wanting to do it and be there for those kids. Once you start mentoring these youth, you got to stick with it. You can't be like, oh well, my schedule doesn't permit it this time. I'll catch you next week. No, because that kid's going to start to like lean on you and say like, okay, well I know Miss Williams is going to be here Monday, and then she don't show up. Oh man, I really want to talk to her. You know, so I believe it works. I think we could do it, but we got to I mean, like I said, this past weekend, last weekend, not this weekend, but weekend before last, I went to that mentorship training. We only had 9 people show up with Arthur Lewis giving that class. And the week before, I think they had 10 people show up. So a total of maybe 19 to 20 people show up out of 115,000 people in Beaumont. That's crazy.
Let's go to our Twix comment, and I can't see who it is. GZDR4EB. Team is saying team up with Google and Meta and make a grid of the problems area. Put a civilian camera on every corner and a police car every 2 blocks just for observation. That becomes one deterrent for violence, knowing they will be caught in minutes. Well, of course, they are going to be caught. I mean, with that real time crime center, I don't know why they think they're going to get by with some of this stuff here. They're not. So, my Terry, what do you think?
I think mentorship is helping because you got to
Mm-hmm.
realize that it's not a lot of kids that get in trouble. It may seem like it's a lot, but you're talking about maybe 1 or 2% of the kids out of all the kids we have in Beaumont. It's just that one bad apple always ruins, the entire
Yeah,
thing. It's
yeah.
not a lot of kids that I know a lot of kids that do great things,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a few that don't. Some of them do it without mentorship, but mentorship is working. Like I said, because there's not a lot of kids that get in trouble. You got to look at the percentage of kids that we have in Beaumont and ask yourself, out of that 100%, how many are really getting in trouble?
Mm-hmm.
But also, how many of them are getting caught? That's the thing. See, you can do all this, like at Westbrook, for instance, because my husband works for the school district as a police officer. So he sees everything. And so he sees kids that go open those back doors to let other people come in. That right there is dangerous. So
Mm-hmm.
it's about not getting caught too. Terry, I agree with you, but it's also about not getting caught. How many of these kids aren't getting caught that are doing stuff? Oh, they just ain't caught me yet. That's the thing. I mean, you got to look at the whole dynamics of the situation.
Here's a comment from William Gilmore saying, look, high school and some middle schoolers, it's too late right now. He says it's too late for them. But talk needs to start at the elementary level,
5 years old.
5 years old.
Yeah.
I've got a friend, a good friend and relative that teaches the first grade. I'm not gonna name the school, but at the elementary school, she says she rather teach the high school to teach those kids in the first grade. It's just out of control. What this is what I'm saying. It starts at home.
I agree. I agree with some of that, but I think that even growing up, and I have to use me. I made a lot of dumb mistakes. Some things, you know, and I think we all a lot of times make dumb mistakes. I don't think a child, everybody has to be crucified because they make a dumb mistake, because some people, can recover. Of course, you can't save everybody, but just because somebody makes a dumb mistake or a dumb decision doesn't mean that they're not savable. And I
Hmm.
think that even going through the school systems and even in the neighborhoods, we know that there's good kids. And again, I was aware earlier, there's going to be a lot of collateral damage in a lot of things that's going to, if the city, if when we were talking about, and I think my phone got went out, if the city got involved in doing a lot of things, and the police department really just started trying to hone in on certain areas. But I think a lot of these kids are good kids. They're great kids. But as we understand, some of them just going to get caught up in some stuff. Does it mean that they're a bad kid? Does it mean the parents are bad? Because again, all of us have children, and we don't watch our children. Our parents didn't watch us. Our parent Once we left out the house, if you told your mom or daddy you was going one place, and how many times you ended up somewhere else? How many times that something else happened and we just did not get in trouble? And you were just a good kid with good parents that ended up in a situation. I mean, so I don't think all of the kids are like that. And some of those kids are just getting caught up. Like we talk about the fight. Some of them are just there. Everybody want to see a fight. And at this point, it's just unfortunate that everybody got a video camera. Everybody got a cell phone. And everybody's able to record. everything that's going on. And I don't think some of the kids understand that even recording the thing,
Where did he go?
all of the
Where did he
kids.
go? There we go.
Okay, my phone. I don't think all of the kids are bad. I just think that we have bad apples, and that's in anything. We got bad adults. Hell, I mean, um, but I think the kids, we just have to have a different angle. We have to find somebody, a way to be able to communicate them. We got to meet them where they are. And so many things, so many times, I think we want the kids to meet us where we are. We want them to come to us, and nobody's going where they are, and we have to meet them where they are. And once we do that, I think that we could basically build a relationship with them, you know. And that's just some of the things that has to happen. And where do we start? Where do we go? Um, how do we do it?
That's a good question. That's a good question. And
Because
that
in
is
order
a
to
good
get to the
question.
kids, you got to get to the parent. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Right.
we got to get to the parent. We got to be able to talk to the parent, because again, if the child is a minor, we can't talk to them without the parent. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Unless they introduce them into a mentor program, unless they put them in a mentor program. I mean, do you bring back boot camp? You know what I'm saying? They used to have boot camp programs, where these kids were in boot camp. And at that point, they had to go to school. They had to do training. They had to do exercise. They had to do a lot of different things. So what happened to those programs? Where did they go?
I don't know. I don't think there is any more boot camp anymore.
Because when I first got out of the military, I worked at one in Hardin County. I worked at a boot camp in Hardin County.
Really?
That was in Hardin County. I did that for probably like 2 years before, prior to me getting hired at the railroad. Um, but I mean, those programs, they helped. I see some of the young men now from that program, and they be like, "Man, remember this," and turn out to be great fathers, great young men. But they made mistakes, and someone actually put into some time to them. And in those programs, if you have great men or women in those boot camp programs, they get to build relationships with them,
Mm-hmm.
because it's discipline. What builds better relationships outside of discipline? And you can show someone that you care about them and not just tell them. You spending 8 hours, the whole school period time with them a day, every day. You can't help but to build relationships with kids that's troubled. Be able to build a relationship and say, hey, you can talk to me. They can trust you. They can believe in you. So where does the city start? Where does the county? I mean, I don't know why those programs went away. So I can't speak on that. Was it state because they went away? However, I don't know. But how do you get them back? And maybe that may be a good way to start, because there is a curriculum in your boot camp program. That was a curriculum there, but you had people that was prior military, because I was not a teacher. I came straight out the military with that job, and they put me in there for the military background conditioning and those type of things. I ran with them, I exercised them, I PT'd them, you know what I'm saying? And I was there as a mentor with them. I was not there to teach them because I was not the teacher, but I was the person that was there to put the PT in and to somewhat do the discipline part of it.
Now, do parents has to initiate their child to be able to be into a boot camp, or
No, those kids was placed there.
they were placed there?
It was sort of like where you talk about Paul Brown or some of your alternative schools. They
Right.
sent them to the boot camp program. They were placed there by the district. So it was that's why I say it was a curriculum that
Oh,
was there,
really?
but it was somehow it was placed. And when I came, when I got hired, it was already in place. You know what I'm saying? When I got hired there, it was already in place. So I don't know how it all got to that point, but I mean I know that was a curriculum that was in that classroom.
Wow, didn't know that. I never knew that, and I think that's a great deal if
That
we
was in
can get it
Hardin
back.
County back in. I got out of the military in '96. I worked there in '90, the latter part of '96, '97. I worked there. So that was back then.
Well, and now Mary was mentioning that the new superintendent that's appointed to the BISD is going to run a military style schools in the system. So is that any close to a boot camp?
Oh, I don't that part. I don't know.
Mary,
I'm not. Oh,
Terry, you guys involved in the school system? We don't
No,
know
so
yet.
it's the dress right dress of the desk or two by two. There's not going to be any back rows in the schools anymore. The teachers are not going to be able to sit down anymore. They're going to have to walk around and monitor every child and the doors are going to be left open in the classrooms now. I went to a roundtable on Saturday at the Miller Library, and the classroom doors are going to be left open from now on. What else? And like I said, the desks are be side by side, 2 by 2. You cannot separate a child that needs to be disciplined. You can't put them in the back of the room anymore. The libraries are going to be cleared out, and those are going to be used as retention centers. Basically, that's where the disciplined children are going to have to go, and they're going to have a curriculum there that they're going to have to follow. A lot of things are going to be changing. A lot of things. Even the curriculum in the future that they were talking about, your core classes are going to be read by an avatar, and the are going to be taught by an avatar, and the teacher is going to read off the screen what's being put up there by the avatar.
That's different.
Yeah, totally different. Well,
Yeah.
we got to emphasize and educate these young kids today that getting a felony record at a young age will ruin your life forever. And this is where they like for us to be, down at the bottom. And we got to be more, the parents have to be more accountability for their children, a lot more. They need to be more involved. Parents must be more involved. Community leadership, I think we're trying to do what we can to do to help these kids, help the problem, solve the problem, but it's going to take more than that. Now, at what point do we stop making excuses and start demanding accountability from the parents, leader, and the youth? We talked about that. I'm going to ask this question here is, what usually lead a kid down the wrong path?
Friends.
Yeah, the company they keep.
Friends.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah, the company I think that's how we all grew up in. Watch the company that you keep.
Yep.
Well,
That's how good kids get. I mean, just wanting to be a part of wanting to fit in.
right.
I
And
mean,
it's
that's
easy.
the thing.
A lot of times they want to just be caught up in the street life. They want to get that street life. I don't know. I thought about a lot of this going on. I'm so blessed that I don't have a kid that is in the system now, but it's so hard to allow myself not to sit back and watch all this go on. So
That's
this
the
is
kind
why
of stuff that's glorified. That's kind of
yeah,
stuff they glorify these days.
Yeah, but I just think that you have to be careful about accountability for parents,
hmm
because again, you have great parents that once your kid leave out the door, you don't know where they at, they can tell you you're going somewhere. I mean, I just ask everybody, even the people that's listening, when you say that, and everybody that's on the accountability for the parents, parents that aren't doing for their children. Okay, we know that. But what about the parents that are? How many times did you leave out of your house, tell your mama or daddy you was going one place and you ended up somewhere else? Across town where you should not have been, doing something that you should not have been doing, and anything could have happened to you at that time. How many times did you just something happened, you'd be like, man, ooh, Lord, if something would have happened, I would have been in trouble. Those are the things that we have to understand. I mean, holding parents accountable is good. Um, but I think that you just have to be careful with that, because you're gonna have, and I use the word, collateral damage, where a whole lot of great parents that's doing great things, that we know, you look at the news, that got kids that they give them everything. They up to do stand-up parents, but their kids end up on drugs, doing something, stealing, or doing something that they have to. What they got to do with the parent? The parent gave them everything that they wanted, had all of the money in the world. Why are you stealing when you can go buy the whole store? Is the parent accountable? We just got to be careful with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, some parents we know neglecting their children. Okay, yeah, you put the finger on them. If they neglecting their children, they're not doing anything. But just to say that we're gonna hold the parents accountable, that's good. That's gonna be kind of because it can happen to any of us. I got a
yes,
son. My son
yes,
14 right now. My son can go do something knowing that we teach him right. Is that my fault?
no. They're gonna make
So we got to be
mistakes.
careful. We got
Yeah.
to be careful with that. You know, some things are correctable. Some things are like these kids. And I don't know anything about these kids with this murder, but it's not just that. But you know, you can't tell me all of these kids that's committing these crimes are coming from bad families. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Some of them just got caught up in the wrong reason for whatever reason it was. I'm not here to judge and make no thing. I don't know what it was, but some of them just got caught up. And some of you, we all know that what has always been the old adage, you guilty by association. So again, if we all ride in the car right now, Mr. Renfro, you, Miss Mary, Mr. Terry, and me, we all ride in the car. And I'll just use me. I'm riding dirty. Y'all don't know. If you don't say nothing, what happened to everybody else in the car?
We're all dirty.
You see what I'm saying? I just robbed the bank, but you in the car with me. What happens?
Going
Everybody
down.
going to jail. I could have just picked you up on the corner. Unless you can prove I just picked you up on the corner. Unless I say, yeah, I just picked him up on the corner. If I say he was with me the whole time, now you got to prove it. It's just too easy to get caught up in nonsense. You know what I'm saying? And to point the finger when I just think that we got to look at that, especially when it comes to parents and kids, because we don't watch our kids when they leave. We trust that they're going to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
But how many times that you got your child, you give them a car, they doing the right thing, and then they pick up somebody with a gun and they don't even know the gun is in the car. Mama, I ain't know he had a gun. Even in this situation with these kids that just happened, you know, because I think they said one of the kids, they let one of the kids go. I did see that. My thing is, why did they let him go? I mean, he probably was just happened to be there, didn't know nothing about it. But he was about to get slammed like everybody else.
And he's blessed to not, because they could have stuck him with it.
So how do you think his parents feel when they know his parents knew he was a get? However, just in a sense, how would a parent feel knowing that their child is a good child and they just happen to get caught up into something? We see it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that your child is good, he's straight up and up and up, but he just happened to be riding with somebody or pick one of his friends up from the
Mm-hmm.
other side of town, right?
Mm-hmm.
He live in the West End, as everybody want to say, oh, but he just happened to live on the other side of the town, and we friends because we know when we make friends in school, our friends don't always live in the neighborhoods we live in.
That's right.
And you know what I'm saying? We have friends that's less fortunate than us, or we have friends that's better than us, which we want to consider better off. I put it like that. I won't say better than us, but better off than us. And those friends have friends that, I mean, that's that way. And sometimes, we that's why I said we just gotta be careful how we handle that and how we the accountability thing, because I'm just so afraid that until everybody's okay with it until it come in their house and they kid get caught up in it. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? It's sort of like the old adage: if somebody breaking in houses down the road, nobody paying attention, right? But if they break in a house on the end of your street, you think eventually they're gonna come and break in your house too? They just making their way down the block.
That's it. That's it. The cameras helps, but the committing those crimes, the camera can't stop from committing these
That's
crimes.
that's after the fact. It's
That's right.
reactive.
That's
It's gonna
right.
show you who, but it's already done. So
Right.
the camera thing, I think, is a great is a great deterrent. And I think once the city really gets it out there to say, hey, there's cameras on these parks, there's cameras on these blocks, there's cameras in these places. If you do something, we gonna know it's just a matter of time. I think that's one of the main things to push. Is it going to stop somebody from doing something in the heat of the moment? Because you already know if you're in the heat of the moment, you don't care who around.
Right.
Jesus can be standing on the corner. And if you're in the heat of the moment, you don't care because Jesus is there. So it don't matter about the heat of the moment. I think sometimes people do things and don't think, but I think if people know that those are there, then they'll think about it first. You know what I'm saying? Like Mary was saying, if it's something that is going to be premeditated, you ain't going nowhere with cameras. You ain't breaking in the stores that you know got camera system and they working. It's a deterrent. So is going to stop it from happening, but it may stop it from happening where it's happening, in that park, in those things they may use somewhere else. And then we have to be proactive when we see those kids gathering in those parks. Then the police got to be there like that. If you see
Right.
a large gathering and it is not normal, then they need to, if the camera system is there and they're seeing it, then they need to, of course, go
Right.
there at that point.
Instead of running out there with a phone to record it or video it. But if we do not save our children now, we will continue to bury them later. This is not just a youth problem. This is a community emergency. The streets should never raise our children better than we do. I'm going to close out this. Terry,
Say it again.
I just want to close out the show and just ask you, do you think accountability, the parents should have take more accountability of their children?
Well, like LaShawn said, a lot of it really don't fall on the parents, and it's more of a like I said, you have to catch kids early, and if we don't begin to catch them early, it's gonna be too late once they get older. Now, is it some of the parents' fault? Yes, some of it is. But like when I was coming up, which was a long time ago, we were raised by the entire neighborhood. I had a mama and a daddy on every street, and that stopped us from getting in a lot of trouble. At least it did for me, because I knew
Right.
if I left off of St. James and went on Waverly, it was just like I was back on St. James. Because back then the dads cared and the mamas cared. That wasn't even your parents. And like I say, some of it does fall on the parents, but you got to think, what do they have going on at home that's preventing the parents from, taking care of the kids like they should? Because there's a lot of things that go on at homes that we don't even know nothing about. I
Mm-hmm.
go in at least 20 homes a day, and I can tell you it's not all beds and roses like you might think. You have kids taking care of grandparents, and because of illness. It's a lot of reasons why some kids do what they do. But we, as a community, we have to start helping these kids early. I'm speaking like real early, 5 years old. Like wait until they're 16 and 17.
I thought
You know,
what the Officer Gilmore was saying, that it needs to start in elementary school,
yes, it has to,
early age.
because your brain is developed at 5 years old.
Right.
Your
Catch
thought
them at the elementary
process.
level. You're right.
Yep.
Stacey Riley on the comment board said we got to stop with the excuses and come with it. Be accountable. Holly Dahl is saying the good kids who gets caught up need to use their brain. Don't go to a planned fight. They could be wanting to catch a bullet, and that's true because the bullet they ain't got no names on it.
But why do you
Uh,
think they still go, even though they know that?
yeah,
you know,
I don't understand. I
it's a
don't
lot of
understand.
mental health things going on that gets bypassed. Because you
Yeah,
have one kid that know if I go to this fight, something might happen to me, and you
right.
got one that goes and say, "I'm going. I don't care what happened."
That's right. Mary, you got the last words?
I agree a lot with what Terry was saying. I agree with the whole panel. I just want a solution to this. That's really what I brought to the table tonight. I want to find a solution to this. This has got to stop. We got to find a root cause of it and and get a solution for it. I believe that these kids are, we got to catch them at an early age, a very early age. Once we get their mindset right, then we can, look towards the future. I agree with Sean on a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
Man, he hit the nail right on the head on a lot of things. So I agree with the panel tonight. I think we need to find a solution, though. We've got to come up with a solution for these incidents happening in Beaumont. Why is it that everyone is leaving Beaumont all of a sudden? People are leaving in droves right now. If you look at the real estate market, everybody's leaving Beaumont right now. There's a reason for this. Um, and we got to find a solution, Tony.
Yes, yes, we do. Yes, we do. I'm gonna answer this. One of the comments on the comment board is that William Gilmore saying that for me to get myself and a group of law enforcements from the different agency and bring us on, and that I would do that. You guys are welcome. Let's put that show together. Let's bring on at least 8 to 10 law officers, and let's put this program together. Mr. Gilmore, Officer Gilmore, and we can see what we can do to solve some of this crime with our young people. Sean, you got the last words?
Well, I want to say first of all, thank you for the opportunity to even come on your show. With Terry and Mary, I appreciate you guys and the input and your outlook on it. I just think that, for us, we gotta hone in. I mean, there's a lot of great people, and when Mary said everybody's leaving, I really feel sad. What I'm saying, that people don't find the value here in Beaumont that's leaving. But the thing about it is, one thing that I understand for us that's not going anywhere, we have to buckle down, hunker down,
Mhm.
and take care of our city. Of course, we want our city to be better. We want our city to grow. We want our kids to have, a better place. And at the end of the day, one thing we have to realize, even with these parents, guys, the parents are struggling as well. And we have to meet them first where they are. No parent wants to bury their child. That's the worst thing that I think that any parent can ever have, is to bury their child, and then to bury them behind what we look at and deem to be just senseless gun violence, something that's going on across the country right now, and not just lined in and homed in on Beaumont. It's just that we're feeling it because we're a city of, like Mary said, only 50,000 people. So it seems like it's more. So when they talk about like we're number 4 on the thing, that's per capita. So of course, but in the numbers, we're actually, I think, higher than Houston in this sense. But we just have to, as a community, come together, really say how it is, not point the finger, because I think sometimes with the parents, when we start pointing the fingers, everybody want to say, we're pointing the fingers. And what do we do when people are pointing the finger at us? We don't want to help. We need them. We need those parents help. We need them to allow us to be able to talk to their children, and then find out where it is, because some of the mothers and some of the parents are afraid of their kids, you
Mhm.
know and
Mhm.
that's the thing. I mean, they can't talk to their kids. Nobody can talk to them, but we have to be able to do it. The system is not going to raise them. The system is not built to raise our children. It's only built to destroy me. This is my personal opinion. So when anybody say it, to destroy their lives. You know what I'm saying? Because again, how many people do actually recover from a second chance? How many people actually get a second chance and actually recover from it? Not very many. They become institutionalized, and then it becomes just something that's always done in and
That's right.
out of the system.
In the
Very
system.
few people recover from that. We have to try to keep them out of the system and show them the value of being out of the system, and saying, just because you mess up today don't mean that we won't give you a second chance. Because again, I put myself in that. I could have been a lot of different places doing a lot of different things. But I first say that God spared me. You know what I'm saying? And God spared me and gave me another chance. And then had people to look at me a different way and give me another chance. Because we
Right.
all fall short.
We all
We
fall
all make
short.
mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And just because you make a mistake, no matter what age you are, it does not mean that you cannot recover. That's what we say as people, that they're lost. But we have to stop saying that they're lost, because when we say that they're lost, then they give up on themselves. If we give up on them at 16, 15, 14, if we give up on them, who else is going to support them? Because if they don't have the structure at home, as we're saying, or sometimes it seems, then who has to help them? It has to be somebody on the outside. And I just, one of the things that I say, I mean, just because somebody make a mistake, and I stand on that, don't mean that they're lost. They could be the
Mhm.
ones that to help the most. You know what I'm saying? We have to, their friends have to see a success story. Their friends have to see somebody that make it out. And when their friends see somebody that make it out, they'll believe that they can make it.
They
Right
can do
now,
it.
most people don't see nobody that's them make it
Right.
out. So
Right.
they don't believe they can make it out, because they don't have nobody. They can't look at me and say, "Oh, I made it out," and believe that. They got to see one of their peers make it out. And when they see one of their peers make it out, they'll believe that they can do it. But until then, everybody believes that they're lost.
I agree. I agree. Thank you, LaShawn Proctor, for Proctor Monterey here in Beaumont, Texas, and Terry Raw, one of our advocates in the community, and Miss Mary Williams. How you? I appreciate you guys joining me on this board today, and we'll come back and do this again. Oh, by the way, Officer Gilmore, give me a list of officers. Let's put this show together. Let's talk about how we can solve some of the problems that we're having with our young people in our area. But let me close with this. The cemetery is full of young dreams, and the prison system is full of wasted potential.
Mm.
Beaumont must decide today whether we will keep reacting to violence or finally start preventing it. Thank you, everybody. Love it.
Thank y'all. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you.